Hello there. This video is made in a collaboration with this channel that you probably love to watch. Probably you are asking, who am I? I'm Knowledgia, and today I will present to you the second part of the American Civil War. You can check the first part on my channel, where your guy, General Knowledge, has done an impressive work. You can find the link in the description. We are going to discuss the Western Front, the diplomacy, and the Union victory and aftermath of the war. The Western Theater refers to military operations between the Appalachian Mountains and the Mississippi River, including the states of Alabama, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Kentucky, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Tennessee. After an inconclusive fall campaign, Lincoln turned to the West Theater for new leadership. At the same time, the Confederate stronghold of Vicksburg surrendered, giving the Union control over the Mississippi River, permanently isolating the Western Confederacy and producing the new leader Lincoln needed. The Union's key strategist and tactician was Ulysses S. Grant, who won victories at Forts Henry and Donelson, by which the Union seized control of the Tennessee and Cumberland rivers. At the Battle of Shiloh in Tennessee on April 1862, the Confederates made a surprise attack that pushed the Union forces against the river as night fell. Overnight, the Navy landed additional reinforcements and Grant counterattacked. Grant and the Union won a decisive victory. One of the early Union objectives in the war was to capture the Mississippi River in order to cut the Confederacy in half. The strategy was a pretty old but an effective one from the Roman times. Divide et impera. Sounds familiar? If not, the goal is to divide a structure, an army, a state, in order to be able to gain control over it faster. In this case, the Mississippi River was a key objective, which the Union needed to control from north to south in order to cut the lines between the east and the west of the Confederacy.
No!
In this way, it would have been more easily for the Union to gain the victory they wanted. In April 1862, the Union Navy captured New Orleans. U.S. naval forces passed Confederate defenses south of New Orleans. The Confederate forces abandoned the city, giving the Union a critical anchor in the deep south, which allowed the Union forces to begin moving up the Mississippi River. Memphis fell to Union forces on June 6, 1862, and became a key base for further advances south along the Mississippi River. Only the fortress city of Vicksburg prevented a Union control over the entire river. The naval forces assisted Grant in the long, complex Vicksburg campaign that resulted in the Confederates surrendering at the Battle of Vicksburg in July 1863, from which the Union gained control over this massive river, and this is considered one of the turning points of the whole war. In September 1863, a huge victory happened for the CSA. The Battle of Chickamauga marked the end of the Union offensive. It was the first major battle that was fought in
may
Georgia.
paminita ko parang ano eh.
The Union in the Western Theater. Local
Na-attract
battles
sa
and
live.
conflicts happened along the Mississippi region. The Confederacy
okay?
lacked the
Actually,
troops
you know what?
and
I'll just film
logistics
it.
to support the
Huwag
regular
ka
armies
magalas.
that
Owen,
could
balik mo
challenge
nga
Union
itong
control
tape.
over this region. After the fall of
I know where
Vicksburg in
to
July 1863, General Kirby
See,
Smith from
Chris
Texas
your
was
mouth over
informed by
there.
Jefferson Davis that he could expect no further help from the east. The Union did not directly engage him. In the end, Texas remained in Confederate hands throughout the war. The siege of Port Hudson existed for nearly 8 weeks, the longest siege in the U.S. military history. The Confederates attempted to defend this port, but they failed. If we want to focus our attention on Florida, some small battles were fought in Florida, but no major ones. We can remember the Battle of August in early 1864. At the beginning of 1864, Lincoln made Grant the commander of all the Union armies. Grant made his HQ with the Army of the Potomac and put Major General Sherman in command of most of the Western armies. Grant understood the concept of total war, and he believed, along with Lincoln and Sherman, that only the full defeat of the Confederate forces and their economic base would end the war. This was total war, not in killing civilians, but rather in taking provisions and destroying homes, farms, railroads, in one word, infrastructure. Texas, small-scale military actions existed. The main battles weren't there, but every piece of the puzzle is important in a long campaign. Here, in this part of the war, the Confederacy lacked the troops and the logistics to support the regular armies that could challenge the Union control over some areas. Some Confederate bands terrorized and attacked the countryside, striking both military and civilian settlements. Also, in some battles, Native Americans were present and involved in both armies. More to the west in California and the Pacific coast wasn't about some large-scale operations. The Union had volunteer troops detachments primarily from California, some from Oregon, and a few companies from Washington Territory. These military forces were directed mostly against Indians in the theater. Union and Confederate regular forces did not meet directly within the Pacific Department except in New Mexico Territory. Back on the main part.